Hey guys, tonight we are peeling back the gold leaf and the Hollywood glamour to look at something far grittier, far more real. We're going to explore what a day, or rather a life, in the sandals of a Roman gladiator was truly like. And I don't mean the superstar, champion of the people version. I mean the raw, terrifying, and profoundly human experience of being considered less than a person. A piece of property whose only value lay in how well you could fight for your next breath. Spoiler alert if this were real. Your odds of seeing tomorrow are well. Let's just say you wouldn't be making long-term plans. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop a comment below and let me know what city you're listening from and what time it is. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. It all ends in a haze of smoke and screams. Or maybe it ends in the cold, sterile quiet of a magistrate's pronouncement. Or perhaps on the splintered deck of a ship, with the taste of salt and blood in your mouth. The how doesn't matter anymore. What matters is the after. One moment, you have a name. A family, the home. You might be a legionary from a disgraced Roman cohort, a proud Germanic warrior captured on the Rhine frontier, a farmer from Gaul whose village picked the wrong side in a rebellion, or even a pirate whose luck finally ran out in the Mediterranean. You had a life. Now, you have a chain. Your identity is the first thing they take. The name your mother gave you is stripped away, forgotten, replaced by a grunt or a number. You are herded with dozens of others into the suffocating darkness of a ship's hold or a rattling, windowless wagon. The air is thick with the smell of unwashed bodies, fear, and despair. Days and nights blur into a miserable cycle of minimal food, foul water, and the constant, jarring motion of the journey. You don't know where you're going, but you know it isn't home. You are no longer a person. You are raised, a thing, cargo. This is a core root of the gladiator's existence that we often forget. The vast majority did not choose this path. They were prisoners of war, condemned criminals, or slaves sold into this specific, brutal trade. You look around at the other men shackled with you. You see the same hollow look in their eyes. Some are defiant, their anger a burning coal in the darkness. Others are broken, their spirits already extinguished. You find yourself somewhere in between. A cold numbness settling over you as a defense mechanism. You watch, you listen, you learn. During a brief stop for water, you overhear the guards talking. They're not just moving bodies, they're assessing merchandise. This is a surprisingly meticulous business. Slave traders and officials didn't just grab anyone for the arena. They had an eye for potential. They looked for men with a certain physique. Strong shoulders, a solid frame, good height. This is one of the lesser-known details. You were selected. Your strength, which once served your family or your tribe, has now become your curse. It's what made you valuable enough to keep alive, valuable enough to be shipped toward the heart of the empire, toward a fate you can only guess at. The journey feels endless, but eventually, the rattling stops, the heavy doors creak open, and you are blinded by the brilliant, unforgiving Italian sun. Your ease of doubt onto dusty ground, the chains on your wrists and ankles feeling impossibly heavy. The air smells different here. It's a chaotic mix of wood smoke, baking bread, cheap wine, and something else. A faint, metallic thing carried on the breeze. In the distance, you can hear it. The low, constant roar, like a faraway ocean. But it's not the ocean. It's the sound of a crowd, the sound of Rome. You are lined up, trotted, and inspected. A man with cold, calculating eyes walks down the line, grabbing a man's arm here, forcing another's mouth open to check his teeth there. The HES looking at you not as a man, but as a butcher looks at a side of beef. It's in this moment you realize you haven't just been captured, you've been condemned. And this is where historians still have their debates. While most gladiators were forced into the life, a small but significant number were volunteers, free men known as octoriidii. These were citizens driven by debt, a lust for fame, or a desperate desire for a life of structure and adrenaline. But their choice, however grim, was still a choice. You had no such luxury. You stand there, blinking in the sun, a piece of human chattel waiting to be sold. Your past erased, and your future a terrifying, bloody question mark. The roar of the distant crowd seems to get a little louder. The man with the cold eyes stops in front of you. He doesn't speak to you. Why would he? You are not a participant in this negotiation. He circles you slowly, his gaze sharpened appraising. This isn't the kind of look you'd get from an enemy sizing you up across a battlefield. It's the look a carpenter gives a piece of wood, assessing its grain, its knots, its potential. He gestures, and one of the guards roughly grabs your arms, forcing you to extend them. The man runs a thumb over your knuckles, your forearms, feeling the texture of the muscles beneath the skin. HES, not just checking for strength. HES looking for old injuries, for weaknesses. He grunts and signals for you to turn around. You feel his fingers press into your back, tracing your spine. HES checking for soundness, for any hint of a defect that might make you a poor investment. This is the human marketplace, a place where your past life is written on your skin for buyers to read. A faded scar from a childhood fall is irrelevant, but the welt from a whip, that tells a story of disobedience. A clean, healed wound from a sword, that might suggest you're a survivor, a fighter. Your body is your resume, and he is a very discerning hiring manager. Then comes the ultimate humiliation. You are forced to open your mouth. He leans in, his face uncomfortably close, and examines your teeth. Strong teeth were a sign of a decent enough upbringing and diet, a good indicator of overall health. A man with rotting teeth might collapse from a fever before he ever sets foot on the sand. It's a strange, intimate, and utterly dehumanizing process. It's a niche detail we often skim over, but for you, in this moment, it's everything. Your entire future hinges on the state of your molars. He seems satisfied. He steps back and has a quiet, clipped conversation with the slave trader in charge of your sorry group. You can't hear the words, only the cold, transcational tone. Numbers are mentioned. You are a commodity. Your price determined by your height, your weight, your perceived health, and that uncontrovertible spark of aggression or resilience he thinks he sees in your eyes. Historians still debate the precise formula for what made a prime gladiatorial prospect. Some argue that Lonnie Stay, the owners of gladiatorial schools, preferred the raw, untamed fury of a captured barbarian, while others believe the discipline of a disgraced Roman soldier was far more valuable, as they could be trained more reliably. It was likely a matter of the buyer's personal taste and training philosophy. A deal is struck, coins exchange hands. A new brand, a mark of ownership, is seared onto your shoulder with a hot iron. The pain is sharp, acrid, but it's the finality of it that truly burns. You belong to him now. Your old life is not just gone. Its last traces have been cauterized away. You are led away from the rest of the group. A new set of shackles locked onto your wrists. Your new owner, the man they call Honest Tay, walks ahead of you, his posture straight, never once looking back. He doesn't need to. You are his property, as securely his as the purse at his belt. You are marched through the teeming, chaotic streets of a Roman suburb. The noise is overwhelming, a stark contrast to the grim silence of your journey. The city is a living, breathing monster of sound and smell. You see street vendors hawking food, children chasing dogs, women yelling from windows, and everywhere, the press of people, and they see you. Some stare with open curiosity, others with pity, many with a kind of morbid excitement. They know what the brand on your shoulder means. They know where you're going. You are a walking spectacle already, a preview of a death they might one day pay to see. You keep your eyes fixed on the ground, the dust kicking up around your bare feet. The roaring sound you heard from a distance is closer now, a constant, thunderous presence that seems to vibrate in your bones. It's the sound of the Colosseum, and you get the distinct feeling you are walking toward the belly of the beast. Your new life, or what's left of it, is about to begin. The grand, Imposing fuss out of the Colosseum might be what you expected, but that's not where you're going. Your owner leads you down a narrower street, away from the marble and travertine, into a district that feels more functional, more industrial. The air here is thick with the scent of sweat, rusty iron, and cooking fires. You stop before a formidable wooden gate, set into a high, stark stone wall. There are no windows, no decorations, just stone, wood, and a small, grated peephole. This is your new home. This is Oludus, the gladiator school. The gate groans open, and you are shoved inside. The world shrinks. The sprawling, noisy city is gone, replaced by a large, packed earth courtyard that serves as a training ground. Surrounding it on all sides is a 2-story barracks, its architecture grimly utilitarian. This isn't a school in any sense you understand. It's a prison, designed with ruthless urgency. The gate slams shut behind you, the heavy thud echoing in the sudden quiet. The sound seals your fate more completely than any brand or chain. You are immediately aware of the eyes on you. Dozens of men, in various states of training and repose, stop what they're doing to watch your arrival. They are a terrifying tapestry of humanity. Huge, muscular men with the heavy build of the Gaul or German. Leaner, quicker men who might be from North Africa or Syria. Even some who look unsettlingly Roman. Their bodies are maps of scars, some fresh, some faded. Their expressions range from idle curiosity to outright hostility. There is no welcome here. You are not a new classmate. You are, at best, a future threat. At worst, a fresh piece of meat. A hulking man, even larger than the others and carrying a wooden rod as a badge of office, approaches. This is the doctor, the head trainer. He looks you up and down with the same appraising eye as the l'honnêteté, but his is the look of a craftsman, not a merchant. He is the one who will break you down and remold you. He grabs your chin, forcing you to meet his gaze. His voice is a low growl as he barks a few questions. Your name, your homeland, your skills. Your answers are short, clipped. You learn quickly that speaking too much is a sign of weakness. You are stripped of your rags and given the standard attire of a novice gladiator. A simple linen loincloth, a subligaculum, nothing more. This is another layer of the dehumanization process. It removes any last vestige of your former status or culture. Everyone here is reduced to the same basic, vulnerable state. The living conditions are what you might expect from a high-security prison. You're shown to a cell, a tiny stone room, barely large enough for 2 cramped bunks. The space is dark, damp, and smells of stale sweat and mildew. Your cellmate, a sullen man with a jagged scar across his cheek, barely grunts in acknowledgement. You will sleep, eat, and live in this cramped box with a man you may one day be ordered to kill. This is the grim reality of the ludus. While a handful of very successful star gladiators might have earned privileges, better rooms, better food, eat in private quarters. For a novice like you, life is squalid. Hygiene is an afterthought. A single trough of cold water serves for washing. The latrines are a foul-smelling trench. Disease must be rampant, and you realize that a simple infection could kill you long before a sword ever does. Historians have unearthed the layouts of several ludi, including the famous Ludus Magnus right next to the Colosseum. Their findings confirm this stock, prison-like design, small cells, a central training yard, and high walls to keep the students in and the public out. You sit on the edge of your hard bunk, the rough stone cold against your skin. You can hear the rhythmic thud of wooden swords hitting practice dummies in the yard, the grunts of exertion, the sharp commands of the trainers. This is the soundtrack of your new life. There's a strange paradox here that historians continue to puzzle over. On one hand, you are valuable property. Your l'honnêteté has invested money in you and wants to see a return. On the other, your life is utterly disposable. The discipline is iron-fisted, enforced with whips and rods. The training is brutal. The goal is not to educate you, but to break your will, to strip away your individuality, and to forge you into a killing machine for the entertainment of the masses. You are no longer in the belly of the beast. You are in its stomach, being digested. The next morning, you are roused before dawn by the harsh clang of a bell. There is no gentle waking, no moment of quiet reflection. 1 second you are in a shallow, restless sleep. The next you are on your feet, the cold stone floor shocking your system awake. You are herded out into the pre-dawn chill of the courtyard with the other novices. The air is still, and the only light comes from a few sputtering torches that cast long, dancing shadows against the walls. You are lined up. The honest is there, observing from the upper balcony, a silent, judgmental god in his own small universe. Down on the sand, the doctor and his assistants, former gladiators themselves who were either too old, too injured, or simply too valuable as teachers to fight anymore, walk the lines. They carry their wooden rods, and you learn very quickly that these are not just for pointing. Today is the day you formally cease to exist. You are brought forward, one by one, to stand before the doctor. He holds a scroll. This is where you will take the oath. The Sacramentum Gladiatorium. It's a terrifyingly absolute vow. He recites the words, and you are made to repeat them, your voice hollow in the vast, quiet yard. Yuri, vinciari, vubera arai, thorough to negari, to be burned, to be bound, to be beaten, and to be killed by the sword. You pledge to endure all of it. As a gladiator, you are swearing an oath to accept your own utter subjugation. You are giving your owner permission to do anything to your body, up to and including killing you, if you disobey or perform poorly. It is a legal and spiritual surrender. By taking this oath, you willingly become infames, a person of infamy, legally dead. You lose all rights as a citizen, if you ever had any. You cannot make a will. You cannot testify in court. You are, in the eyes of Roman law, on par with actors and prostitutes, people who sell their bodies for the entertainment of others. Once the oath is spoken, your old life is legally and symbolically severed. You might be given a new name, a stage name, no more news or liars. Now, you might be Ferrex Fierce, Seller Swift, or Ursus Bear. It's a label, a brand, designed to be easily shouted by the crowd. It's one more layer of your identity stripped away and replaced with a persona that belongs to your owner. Historians have long debated the true nature of this oath. Was it a solemn, binding ritual, or more of a grim piece of administrative theater to legally protect the law honeste? The phrasing, recorded by the Roman satirist Petronius, suggests a deep, almost religious level of commitment. It mimics the oath a Roman soldier took to his general and the republic. But here, the object of your total loyalty is not a noble cause, but a man who profits from your potential death. It's a perversion of honor, a dark mirror of military dedication. With the oath taken, you are no longer a slave or a criminal in the ordinary sense. You are now officially a gladiator. The word itself, you learn, comes from gladius, the short sword used by Roman legionaries. You have become a living weapon. This is a cold, strange comfort and the crushing anonymity of the ludus. This new identity is the only one you have left. It's a cursed identity, a death sentence, but it's yours. The ceremony, if you can call it that, is over as quickly as it began. There is no fanfare. The honeste retreats from his balcony. The doctor barks an order, and the real work begins. You are handed your first piece of equipment, not a gleaming sword, but a rudis, a simple wooden sword, and told to stand before a palace, a thick wooden stake driven into the ground. Your transformation has begun. You swore to be beaten, and you get the sense that the first blows you receive will not be from an opponent, but from your teacher if your form is not perfect. The sun begins to rise, casting a weak, pale light over the courtyard. It feels less like a new day and more like the first day of the end of your life. You quickly learn that the ludus has its own brutal ICO system, a pecking order as rigid and unforgiving as any military hierarchy. It's not just about who is the strongest or the fastest. It's a complex web of seniority, success, and the honest's favor. Your life depends on understanding it. And first, at the very bottom are the novigai, the novices. That's you. You are the untested, the unknown quantity. You get the worst food, the hardest chores, and the harshest discipline, you are disposable. If you die from the rigors of training or a simple infection, it's a minor loss to the Loaniste. You exist to be molded. And if you break in the process, you will be swept aside like so much sawdust. Above you are the TIR1s, gladiators who have completed their initial training but have not yet fought in the arena. They carry themselves with a nervous energy. They've survived the initial breaking in period, but they haven't been tested in true combat. They're a step above you, but they still occupy a precarious position. Their first fight will either elevate them or end them. Then come the veterani. The veterans. These are the men who have fought and survived at least one battle in the arena. They are the core of the ludus. They carry their scars with a quiet pride. They get better food, slightly better living quarters, and a measure of respect from the trainers. They walk with a certain confidence, a survivor's swagger. They've seen the real thing. They've heard the roar of the crowd from the center of the sand, and they've lived to tell the tale. They are the ones you watch, the ones you learn from not just in official training, but in the subtle ways they carry themselves, how they maintain their gear, how they manage their energy. And at the very top of the gladiator hierarchy are the primi pali, the first swords. These are the champions, the superstars of the ludus. They are the honest as prized assets, his marquee attractions. A primus palace might have his own private cell, better food than even the trainers, and might even be allowed certain luxuries, like visits from admirers. They are the living proof that survival, and even a twisted form of glory, is possible. They are both an inspiration and a source of immense pressure. They represent the pinnacle, the goal you are supposed to strive for. But the gap between your position as a novice and their exalted status seems impossibly wide. This hierarchy is a powerful tool of control. It creates intense internal competition. You don't just want to survive the arena. You want to survive the ludus. You want to graduate from novice to Tiro, from Tiro to veteran. This ambition, this desire for a slightly less miserable existence, keeps you focused. It channels your aggression inward, against your fellow gladiators in training, rather than outward, against your captors. It's a grimly effective management strategy, one of the more peculiar and academically debated aspects of this social structure is the role of freedman. A gladiator who survived long enough and fought well enough could eventually be awarded the rudis, the wooden sword symbolizing his freedom. However, many of these freedmen chose to remain at the ludus, working as trainers or doctores. These men are figures of both hope and fear. They are living proof that the system has an exit, but they are also the ones who enforce its most brutal rules. The man screaming at you to hold your shield higher might be a man who was once exactly like you, standing on this very same patch of dirt. Does he feel pity for you, or does he see you as a soft, pathetic version of his former self? His motivations are a mystery, adding another layer of psychological complexity to your daily existence. You learn to navigate this world by being quiet. You learn who to avoid, who to watch, and who might share a morsel of their slightly better bread if you do a chore for them without being asked. You notice the subtle dynamics. The veteran who quietly advises a Tiro on his footwork. The simmering resentment between two hopefuls competing for the same fighting style. You are in a cage filled with wolves, and your first battle is not with swords in the Colosseum, but with wits and observation in the suffocating confines of the school. You are learning the unwritten rules of a game where the price of a mistake is not just a loss of points, but a loss of life. A few days into your new routine, you finally get a proper look at the man who owns you. He is the Laniste. The word itself has a vaguely sinister ring to it, and for good reason. In Roman society, the Laniste occupied a deeply paradoxical position. He was often a wealthy, successful businessman, a purveyor of the most popular entertainment in the empire. But he was also reviled. His trade was in human flesh. His profit derived from violence and death. He was considered a ghoul, a pimp of the arena, and was lumped into the same infamous social category as his gladiators. He was a master of the infames, and thus infamous himself. Your Laniste is not a physically imposing man. He doesn't need to be. His power isn't in his muscles, but in his ledger book and his cold, unwavering gaze. He watches the training sessions from his shaded balcony, an eagle observing mice in a maze. He rarely speaks to the gladiators directly. He communicates his will through the doctors and guards. His presence is a constant, silent pressure. You can feel his eyes on you, calculating, assessing. You are an entry in his financial accounts. He has paid your purchase price, and now he is paying for your upkeep, the food, the shelter, the training. You represent a significant capital investment. This is the strange, cold logic of your survival. He wants you to become a skilled fighter, a crowd pleaser, because a successful gladiator brings in huge appearance fees, prize money, and boosts the reputation of his school. A dead gladiator is a write-off. So, while he will allow the doctors to beat you, starve you, and push you to the brink of collapse, he will not allow you to be wasted. This creates a bizarre form of protection. You are a prized animal, a racehorse being trained for the track. Your health is monitored. Your injuries are treated, not out of compassion, but to protect the investment. You see him confer with the doctors, pointing at certain trainees, shaking his head at others. He is the one who makes the final decisions. He decides who is ready for the arena, who needs more training, and who is a lost cause, perhaps to be sold off to the mines or condemned to a beast hunt with no real chance of survival. He is the architect of your fate. Historians are still piecing together the business model of the Laniste. It wasn't just about winning fights. A shrewd Laniste played a complex game. He would rent his gladiators out to fight promoters at a tours for specific games. The fee would be higher for a star performer. If his gladiator won and survived, the Laniste got the gladiator back, plus a cut of the prize money. If the gladiator was killed, the fight promoter had to pay a much larger, predetermined sum to the Laniste to compensate for the loss of his asset. This led to a grim calculation. Sometimes, a Laniste might make more money from his gladiator's death than from his victory. It's a chilling thought that the man who owns you might secretly be hoping you don't come back. One day, you see a demonstration of his absolute power. A novice, pushed too far, snaps. He throws down his wooden sword and screams defiance at a doctor. The training yard goes silent. Every eye turns to the unfolding drama. The doctor doesn't even touch the rebel. He simply looks up at the balcony. The Laniste gives a slight, almost imperceptible nod. Guard sees the novice. He is dragged, screaming, to the center of the yard and flogged without mercy. The message is not for the novice. He is already a broken man, his fate sealed. The message is for everyone else. It is a lesson in obedience, a stark reminder of the oath you took. Dure, vinciorai, verbera aurai. You look down at your own hands, gripping your wooden sword. You thought your fight was against other men in the arena. You are beginning to understand that your real opponent is the man on the balcony. He is the one playing the game, and you, and all the men around you, are just the pieces on his board. Your only path to survival is to become a more valuable piece, too valuable to sacrifice carelessly. The morning bell clangs, and Yuri herded not to the training yard, but to the mess hall. Your stomach, hollow with a constant, gnawing hunger, rumbles in anticipation, but any hope for a satisfying meal quickly evaporates. What's slopped into your rough pottery bowl is a thick, gray, unappetizing porridge. This, you learn, is the staple of your diet. It's called saguenay, or sometimes simply gladiator mush. It's primarily made of barley, boiled for hours with water and maybe some fava beans or lentils thrown in. There is no meat, no fine bread, no flavorful sauces. It's heavy, bland, and starchy. You sit down, your throat tightening with each spoonful. It's fuel, nothing more. The purpose of this diet is not to make you happy or healthy in the way a physician might recommend. The goal is strategic. This high carbohydrate, low protein diet was designed to do two things. First, it was cheap. Feeding a ludus full of large men was expensive, and barley was far more affordable than wheat or meat. Your Laniste is, above all, a businessman. Second, and more importantly, It was designed to fatten you up. This seems counterintuitive. Why would you want a fighter to be fat? The answer lies in the nature of gladiatorial combat. A layer of subcutaneous fat provides a protective cushion over muscles and nerves. It allows a gladiator to sustain superficial cuts, the kind that look dramatic and draw gasps from the crowd, without taking immediate, debilitating muscle or organ damage. These bleeder wounds were part of the show. The little bit of blood made the fight look exciting, but a fighter who went down from the first slice was bad for business. Your body fat was, in essence, a form of natural armor. It made you more durable, more likely to survive the initial clashes and put on a longer, more entertaining spectacle. This is a fascinatingly grim piece of sports science, a chilling example of how every aspect of your life was being engineered for the arena. Recent archaeological finds have confirmed this. Chemical analysis of bones from a gladiator cemetery found in Ephesus showed extremely high levels of strontium, an element found in ash-fertilized plants like barley, and low levels of zinc, which is common in meat. The gladiator diet wasn't just a literary trope. It was a scientifically verifiable reality. You quickly realize that food is another form of controlling status within the ludus. While you choke down your barley mush, you see the primi poli, the champions, receiving slightly better fare, perhaps a piece of cheese, an olive, or even a scrap of dried fish. It's a small privilege, but in this world of deprivation, it's a powerful symbol of their success. It's another motivator, another rung on the ladder you're meant to desperately climb. After the meal, you might be given a drink. It's not water, but a foul-tasting concoction of water mixed with wood ash and vinegar, known as passe. This was a common drink for Roman soldiers, believed to have restorative properties. The ash was thought to help with recovery and bone strength that strontium connection again, while the vinegar was a mild antiseptic. It tastes vile, but you drink it. You do what you are told. The academic world still has some small debates about the specifics of this diet. The gladiators never eat meat. Some sources suggest that, on the eve of a battle, or as a reward, meat might be provided. Was the diet consistent across all ludi in the empire, or did regional variations exist? It's likely there was some flexibility, but the core principle of a high-carb, fattening diet seems to have been the standard. You finish your grey porridge, the taste like clay in your mouth. You feel bloated and heavy, not energized and strong. You look at the other novices, all with the same grim expression. You are being fed like livestock being prepared for slaughter. Every meal is a reminder that your body is not your own. It is a canvas, and the honest is preparing it for the bloody art it will be expected to perform. The blandness of the food is a perfect metaphor for your existence. Stripped of all flavor, all joy, all choice, it is simply a means to an end. After the grim morning meal, the real work begins. You are led out into the courtyard, the sun now higher in the sky, baking the packed earth. The sounds of the ludus are in full swing. The rhythmic thudding of wood on wood, the grunts of exertion, the sharp, guttural commands of the trainers. You are directed to a section of the yard where a series of thick wooden stakes, the poli, are driven into the ground. Each one is about the height of a man. This will be your first and most enduring opponent. A doctor hands you your training tools. The first is a shield, a scudum. It's a heavy, oblong thing made of wood, far heavier than you expected. The second is the rudis, the wooden graining sword. You heft it in your hand. It's a crude, blunt instrument, but its weight is staggering. It feels twice as heavy as a real gladius should be. This, you will learn, is intentional. Your first lesson is not in attack, but in posture. The doctor demonstrates the stance, knees bent, body low behind the shield, sword arm held back, ready. He walks around you, correcting your form with the sharp rap of his rod on your leg or back. Lower. He barks, shield up, don't expose your chest. The commands are relentless. Your muscles, still heavy and sluggish from the morning porridge, begin to scream in protest. Holding the heavy shield steady is an agony in itself. Your shoulder feels like it's being pulled from its socket. Then the drills begin. For hours, You do nothing but attack the palace. It's a simple, mind-numbing routine. Step, thrust, step, thrust, over and over. The doctor watches your every move. You are not just swinging wildly. Every motion is prescribed. You are taught to thrust, not to slash. A deep, piercing thrust is a kill shot. A slash is for show. A waste of energy that exposes you to a counterattack. The gut, the throat, the leg. The doctor yells, pointing out the imaginary vital points on the wooden stake. Your arm becomes a leaden weight. The heavy wooden sword feels impossible to lift for another repetition. Your hand is raw. Your knuckles scraped. Sweat pours down your face, stinging your eyes. But you don't stop. You can't stop. You see another novice slow down, his forearm getting sloppy. A doctor is on him in an instant, the rod whistling through the air and landing with a sharp crack across his shoulders. A yelp of pain, and the novice's pace quickens. Fear is a potent motivator. This is the foundation of all gladiatorial training. Before you ever face a living opponent, you must master the palace. It is your unblinking, unmoving teacher. It teaches you discipline, endurance, and the muscle memory required to kill. It's a brutal, repetitive, and deeply unglamorous process. There's no fancy footwork, no spinning attacks you might see in a theatrical performance. This is the grim science of Roman combat, boiled down to its most efficient and deadly essence. Historians, drawing from Roman military manuals like those written by Vigedius, understand that this method was directly borrowed from the training of legionaries. Roman soldiers spent countless hours on the palace, honing the exact same skills of shield discipline and the short, sharp thrust. The Roman army conquered the world with this technique, and the Laniste is now using it to train you to entertain that world. There's a subtle, ongoing debate among scholars about the psychological impact of this specific training. Did the mindless repetition help to numb the gladiator's mind, making it easier to face the horrors of the arena? Or did it simply build a foundation of conditioned reflexes, allowing the body to act even when the mind was frozen with terror? It was likely a combination of both. As the morning wears on, your world shrinks to the space between you and the wooden stake. The sounds of the yard fade into a dull roar. There is only the pain in your arm, the burning in your lungs, and the rhythmic thud of your sword against the wood. You are not a warrior. You are not a hero. You are a machine. And this is your calibration. You are being stripped of your instincts, your habits, your humanity, and being rebuilt, piece by painful piece, into something else, something that can stand on the hot sand, under the roar of the crowd, and kill without hesitation. And it all starts here, with a piece of wooden to silent, unyielding stake. At some point during the grueling drills, it happens. A moment of exhaustion, a lapse in concentration. Your foot slips on the loose dirt, and you twist your ankle. A sharp, searing pain shoots up your leg, and you stumble, dropping your heavy wooden sword with a clatter. You try to put weight on the foot, and a fresh wave of agony makes you gasp. The training around you doesn't stop, but the doctor's eyes are on you instantly. He barks an order, then two other men, not gladiators but staff of the ludus, help you to your feet and half carry you out of the training yard. You're not being taken back to your cell. You're taken to a different part of the compound, a room that is surprisingly clean and well lit. This is the infirmary, the domain of the ludus doctor. The man who approaches you is not the training doctor with his rod, but a physician. He might be a Greek, as many of the best Roman doctors were. His hands are clean, and his gaze is professional, assessing your injury with a practiced eye. He probes your swollen ankle gently, his touch firm but not unkind. He diagnoses a sprain, perhaps a minor fracture. The relief you feel is quickly tempered by a chilling realization. This care, this expertise, is not for your benefit. It's for the Lanniste's. You are a piece of expensive equipment that has broken down. The physician is the mechanic, here to ensure the equipment is repaired and returned to service as quickly as possible. A gladiator with a permanent limp is useless. An untreated injury that leads to infection and death is a total financial loss. So, the medical care in a top-tier ludus was oft excellent, far better than what an airy pure citizen of Rome could ever hope to receive. The famous physician Galen, one of the most brilliant medical minds of the ancient world, actually served as a doctor at a gladiator school in his youth. He honed his knowledge of anatomy and trauma care on the broken bodies of men like you. The doctor sets to work. Your ankle is tightly bound. He might apply a poultice of herbs to reduce the swelling. He gives you a bitter-tasting drink to help with the pain. It's efficient, professional, and completely devoid of warmth or sympathy. As he works, you look around the infirmary. You see another gladiator on a cot, his arm wrapped in clean linen bandages. You see shelves lined with jars of ointments, dried herbs, and surgical tools that gleam ominously. Probes, scalpels, and bone saws. It is a place of healing, but also a museum of pain. This high level of medical care is one of the great ironies of your existence. In the arena, your body is meant to be torn apart for sport, but in the ludus, it is preserved and maintained with scientific precision. Historians still debate the full extent of this care. Was it purely pragmatic, or was there an element of pride on his state took in the physical condition of his stock? For top honeste, having famously healthy and well cared for gladiators could be a selling point, a mark of a superior school. It's like a modern-day sports team bragging about its state-of-the-art training facilities. The doctor gives you instructions, his voice clipped and formal. You are to stay off the foot for a set number of days. You will be given light duties, perhaps polishing armor or sharpening weapons, until you are fit to train again. There is an unspoken threat in his tone. Malingering, faking an injury to avoid training, would be discovered and severely punished. His job is to tell the difference between a real injury and a feigned one, and he is very, very good at his job. You are helped back to your cell, your mind reeling from the strange experience. For a brief moment, you were treated with a care and attention that felt almost human, but it was a lie. It was the care a farmer gives to a prize ox, or a charioteer gives to his best horse. It was an act of asset management. You sit on your bunk, propping your throbbing ankle up on the rough stone. You now understand the fundamental truth of the ludus. You will be kept alive. You will be healed. You will be patched up and sent back to the yard, over and over again, until the day you are finally sent to the one place where the doctors cannot save you, the arena. Once your ankle has healed and you've proven your basic endurance with the palace, your training enters a new phase. It's time for your career planning. You are brought before the head doctor in the lawn Iste himself. They don't ask you what you want to be. They tell you what you will become. They walk around you, studying your body with the critical eyes of sculptors. Are you tall and muscular, short and quick? Do you have a long reach? Are you naturally defensive or aggressive? Your physical attributes are not yours to command. They are data points that determine your destiny. The Roman arena was not a chaotic free-for-all. It was a highly structured spectacle featuring specific, established classes of gladiators, each with its own unique equipment, fighting style, and traditional opponents. If you are large and powerfully built, with a good frame for heavy armor, you might be slated to become a Seikot, or the Pursuer. You would be given a large, oblong shield scatum, a gladius, and a distinctive helmet that covers your entire face, with only 2 tiny eye holes. This helmet offers incredible protection but severely limits your vision and hearing. Your traditional opponent would be the ready Arias, or perhaps your physique suits the role of a M.U. Armillo, named after a type of saltwater fish. The M.U. Armillo also carried the large shield and gladius, but wore a different helmet, often adorned with a fish-like crest. They were the classic, heavy infantry type of gladiator, frequently pitted against the THRAX or Hoplomachus. If you are smaller, quicker, and more agile, they might see a different potential in you. You could be destined to be a ready Arias, the Netman. This is one of the most famous and unusual gladiator types. You would be armed with a weighted net, a 3-pronged trident FUSCNA, and a small dagger pagayo. You would wear almost no armor, save for a shoulder guard gallerus on your left arm. Your strategy would be one of speed and distance. Ensnare your heavily armored opponent in the net, then move in with the trident. It's a high-risk, high-reward role. Maybe your Thracian or Dacian heritage shows in your build. You could be made into a THRAX, equipped with a small, square shield palmula and a uniquely curved short sword, the Sigo. This weapon was perfect for getting around the edge of a larger shield, where you could become a hoplomachus, modeled on a Greek hoplite soldier, with a small round shield, a spear, and a sword. This specialization is a key element of the game's appeal. It created compelling matchups, like a heavyweight box versus a nimble martial artist. The crowd had their favorite types, and they understood the tactical challenges each pairing presented. For you, it means your training now becomes highly specific. You will no longer just be hitting the palace. You will be learning the unique skills of your assigned class. A future ready Arius will spend countless hours learning to cast his net. A future Seikut or will have to get used to the claustrophobic, oxygen-starved world inside his helmet. There's a subtle debate among historians about how much a gladiator's own background influenced this choice. Did a captured fisherman have a better chance of becoming a ready Arius? Did a former legionary almost always become a Hemu or Milo? While there's a certain logic to it, the Launista's primary concern was always what would make the most exciting, and therefore profitable, spectacle. Your past skills were secondary to your physical suitability for a specific, crowd-pleasing role. Once your class is assigned, you are given your specific set of training gear. It is, like the Rudies, deliberately heavier than the real thing. You begin to train with others who have been assigned the same class, under the watchful eye of a doctor who was once a specialist in that very role. The retired Ready Arius teaches the new netmen. A grizzled dem, you are mellow veteran drills the new heavy infantry. Your world becomes even more focused. You eat, sleep, and breathe the techniques of your assigned role. You are no longer just a novice. You are a Turo Seikut or a Turo Ready Arius. You have an identity, a purpose, however grim. You are being shaped, honed, and prepared for your debut on the sand, where you will perform the deadly dance that has been chosen for you. The weight is the first thing you notice. Now that you have been assigned your gladiatorial type, you are given your full set of training panoply, and every single piece feels like it's been filled with lead. Your new training shield, whether it's the large scudum of a M, you are Milo, or the small parmula of a THRAX, is twice the weight of the one you'll eventually carry into the arena. The bronze or iron greaves that protect your shins are thick and cumbersome. And the helmet is a suffocating iron bucket. This is a core principle of your physical conditioning. The trainers, borrowing again from Roman military doctrine, believe in overloading you during practice. The logic is simple and brutal. If you can learn to fight effectively while hampered by this absurdly heavy gear, then on the day of your actual combat, the real armor and weapons will feel as light as a feather. Your movements will be faster, your endurance greater. It's a sound theory, but living through its application is a special kind of hell. Your day becomes a slow-motion agony. Just strapping on the gear is an exhausting ordeal. Then, you begin the drills. You practice your footwork, your leg muscles screaming under the strain of the heavy greaves. You hold your shield aloft, your arm trembling with fatigue, the weight of it pulling at every sinew in your shoulder and back. You swing your weighted wooden sword, each movement sluggish and deliberate. It's less like training for a fight and more like learning to swim through molasses. The heat inside your training helmet is unbearable. It traps your breath, which comes out in ragged, foggy gasps. Sweat pours into your eyes, and the limited vision slits offer an arrow, terrifying view of the world. It's claustrophobic and disorienting. You learn to fight not just against your opponent, but against your own equipment. You learn to peer through the tiny eye holes of a Seikut or helmet to compensate for the blind spots. You learn to move with the awkward weight of a single greave on your leading leg. This intense physical toll is a deliberate part of the brutalization process. It pushes you past the point of normal exhaustion into a state of pure, animalistic survival. When your body is screaming in pain, there's no room for fear, no space for complex thought. There is only the next step, the next block, The next thrust, you are being conditioned to function in a state of extreme distress. One of the more peculiar and less discussed aspects of this is the sheer noise. The clang of heavy wooden swords against overweight shields, the creak and groan of leather straps, the muffled panting from inside dozens of helmets. It creates a chaotic, percussive soundtrack to your day. You learn to listen for the subtle sounds that signal an opponent's movement, a skill that is vital when your vision is severely restricted. Historians often emphasize the weapons, but the armor itself was a critical part of the spectacle and the science of gladiatorial combat. The specific combination of armor for each class was designed to create vulnerabilities. A restorative is almost naked, but fast. His opponent, the crackling, is a walking fortress, but he is slow and half-blind. The match is a contest of these engineered strengths and weaknesses. The Lawniste wasn't just training fighters. He was choreographing a lethal ballet, and your weighted training was the rehearsal. The debate here among scholars is one of degree. How much heavier was the training equipment? Some ancient sources claim it was double the weight, but this might be an exaggeration. Still, the principle of overload training is well documented. It was a physical and psychological crucible. At the end of the day, when you are finally allowed to remove the crushing weight of your gear, your body feels unnaturally light. For a few brief moments, you feel almost buoyant, free, but the feeling quickly fades, replaced by a deep, bone-weary ache that settles into your every muscle. You collapse onto your bunk, your body a landscape of bruises and scrapes. You fall into a sleep born not of peace, but of utter depletion, and you know that when the bell rings before dawn, you will do it all over again. You will strap on the lid, and you will carry the weight of your own damnation through another day. The physical agony of the training is immense, but there is another, more insidious process at work. It's a grinding of the soul, a systematic effort to erase the man you once were. This is the psychological conditioning, the deliberate annihilation of your humanity. Your trainers, the grizzled doctoress, are masters of this stoic art. It begins with the constant, casual brutality. A mistake in a drill isn't met with a gentle correction. It's met with the sting of the rod. The pain is not just a punishment, it's a lesson. It teaches you to associate error with immediate physical suffering. Your brain is being rewired. Hesitation equals pain. Fear equals pain. Thinking too much equals pain. The only way to avoid the pain is to react instantly, perfectly, as you have been taught. You are being turned from a thinking man into a bundle of conditioned reflexes. They work to sever your empathy. In the ludus, you train with the same men you live with. You might even form tentative bonds with your cellmate or the man you stand next to in the breakfast line. The trainers see this and actively work to destroy it. During paired drills, you will be pitted against these very men. You will be ordered to strike them. Heard. You will be berated for holding back. He is not your friend. The doctor will roar, his face inches from yours. Oh dear. He gestures vaguely towards the world outside the ludus walls. He is your enemy. He is the one who will take the prize money from your hands and the breath from your lungs. You are forced to view every other gladiator not as a comrade in shared misery, but as a competitor, a rival for the Lawnist's favor, for better food, for survival itself. This creates an atmosphere of paranoia and suspicion. The man you share a joke with in the evening might be the one you are ordered to fight to the death a month from now. This is a deliberate strategy to isolate you, to ensure your only loyalty is to the ludus and its rules, not to your fellow man. A strange and debated aspect of this process involves the crowd. The trainers constantly remind you of your purpose. You are not fighting for honor or for freedom. You are fighting for the roar of the mob. The crowd wants blood. They'll scream. They want a show. A clean kill is for soldiers. The messy, dramatic fight is for us. You are being taught to be an entertainer. You must learn not only how to kill, but how to kill in a way that is thrilling to watch. This perverts the very act of combat. A simple, efficient death is a disappointment. A drawn-out struggle, with plenty of non-fatal wounds and dramatic reversals, is a success. You are being trained to disconnect from your own actions. The man you fight is not a person with a family and a past. He is an obstacle, a puzzle to be solved with a shield and a blade. Your own body is not a vessel for your spirit. It is a tool, an instrument to be used and discarded. The doctors strip away your fear by exposing you to it. Constantly, they might have a veteran gladiator, in full gear, suddenly charge at you, stopping only an inch from your face. They are desensitizing you to the adrenaline and terror of an attack, turning that primal scream of fear into a trigger for a trained response. Historians argue about how successful this dehumanization truly was. Accounts from Roman writers sometimes speak of gladiators who showed mercy, who refused to kill a downed opponent, or who formed deep bonds of friendship, known as fraternitas. The famous gladiator mosaic from the Villa Borghese names pairs of gladiators who fought together, suggesting a kind of partnership. So, clearly, the process wasn't foolproof. The human spirit is resilient, but the attempt to crush it was relentless. You feel it happening to yourself. The world outside the ludus walls feels increasingly distant, like a dream you once had. Your old life, your family, your name, they are fading. Your emotional landscape is becoming as barren and functional as the training yard. There is the ache of your muscles, the gnawing hunger, the fear of the rod, and the grim focus on the next drill. You are becoming what they want you to be, hard, empty, and sharp, a weapon waiting to be wielded. In this crucible of casual cruelty and forced competition, something strange and unexpected begins to grow, a fragile, complicated form of camaraderie. It's not the easy friendship of soldiers who fight for a shared cause, nor the simple bond of cellmates. It's a unique relationship born from a shared, desperate reality. They call it fraternitas, brotherhood, but it's a brotherhood forged on the edge of a blade. You see it in the small, unspoken moments. The veteran who, when the doctor isn't looking, subtly shifts your foot into the correct position with his own. The man you share a cell with who saves you a crust of his slightly better bread after a good training day. The shared glance of understanding after a particularly brutal session. A silent acknowledgement of we survived this together. These moments are fleeting, dangerous, but they are lifelines in a sea of dehumanization. This bond is strongest among those who train in the same class. You, the TI or one's MU or millions, develop a shared identity. You practice the same moves, suffer the same specialized agonies, and will one day face the same types of opponents. You learn each other's rhythms, strengths, and weaknesses. There is a competitive edge, always, but there is also a grim sense of unity. You're all cogs in the same part of the machine. You might have a sparring partner, a man you drill with day after day. You learn to anticipate his every move, just as he learns yours. You push each other, making each other stronger. There is an intimacy in this, a physical conversation that goes beyond words. You know the exact spot on his shield he favors. He knows you have a tendency to drop your left shoulder when you're tired. You are simultaneously each other's greatest rival and most important teacher. The great, unspoken terror that hangs over all these relationships is that they are temporary. The lawn is they could, at any time, pit you against your training partner in a real match. This is the ultimate psychological torture inherent in the system. The very person you have come to trust and rely on could become the instrument of your death. It's a reality that everyone understands but no one speaks of aloud. This is where historians find one of the most poignant and debated aspects of gladiator life. We have funerary inscriptions, tombstones erected by one gladiator for another. They speak of a fallen dearest friend, the brother in arms. One famous inscription reads, "To Flame, the Sacred, or who lived 30 years, fought 34 times, won 21 times, fought to a draw 9 times, was granted mercy 4 times. He was a Syrian. Delicatus erected this for his deserving comrade in arms." Why would a man spend his meager earnings to commemorate a fallen comrade in a system designed to make them enemies? It suggests that the bonds formed were powerful enough to overcome the psychological conditioning of the ludus. Perhaps this brotherhood was a form of rebellion. In a world that tried to strip you of all humanity, forming a bond with another man was a defiant act. It was a way of saying, I am still a person, I can still care for another. It was a flicker of warmth in the cold, transcational world of the Laniste. You find your own small circle of trust. Maybe it's 2 or 3 other men. You don't talk of your pasts. That door is closed. You don't talk of the future. That is too terrifying. You talk of the present. You complain about the food. You mock a particularly harsh doctor behind his back. You analyze a veteran's technique in the yard. These small conversations, these shared moments of gallows humor, are what keep you sane. They are a quiet assertion of your shared identity against the overwhelming power of your captors. But the fear is always there. One evening, 2 veterans who were known to be close friends are summoned. They don't return to their cells. The next day, you learn they have been scheduled to fight each other in the upcoming games. A chill runs through the entire ludus. Every friendship suddenly feels fragile. Every bond a potential liability. Your brotherhood is a necessary comfort, but you learn to hold it lightly, for you know it can be turned into a weapon against you at any moment. One day, while performing some menial chore like cleaning gear, you overhear 2 guards talking. They're laughing about a piece of graffiti scrawled on a tavern wall downtown. It's a crude drawing of a THRAX, and, beneath it, a woman's name in the heart. The guards are gossiping about a wealthy senator's wife who is famously infatuated with this particular gladiator. They mention his fighting name. You realize they're talking about one of the primipale from your own ludus. This is your first real introduction to the bizarre paradox of your social status. Inside the ludus, you are less than a slave. You are a thing, a number, a piece of meat being fattened for a purpose. But outside these walls, in the sprawling, chaotic world of Rome, you and your kind are celebrities. You are the subject of gossip, the heroes of graffiti, the stars of the biggest show on earth. You are infamies. This is your legal brand. A mark of supreme dishonor. It means you are socially dead, without rights, on par with the most reviled members of society. And yet, you are famous. It's a dizzying contradiction. The very thing that makes you an outcast, your willingness to fight and bleed for the entertainment of others, is the exact same thing that makes you an object of public fascination. You start to notice other signs of it. Sometimes, when gladiators are marched through the streets for a parade or to a different venue, you see the way people react. The children look at you with wide-eyed awe, as if you are a mythical hero come to life. The men look at you with a mixture of admiration and contempt. They admire your strength and courage, but they are also secure in the knowledge that they are citizens and you are not. They are the watchers, you are the watched, but it's the women's gazes that are the most intense. Some look away in disgust, but many look at you with a raw, undisguised curiosity. In a society as rigidly structured as Rome, you represent something wild, dangerous, and untamed. You are the ultimate symbol of masculine vitality, a life lived at the absolute peak of physical intensity. You are a forbidden fantasy, and this makes you intensely desirable to some. This strange celebrity status is a tool the Laniste uses. A gladiator's popularity can significantly increase his market value. A fighter who has a following will draw a bigger crowd, which means the lawn is taking a man a higher fee for his appearance. Small oil lamps were mass-produced with images of famous gladiators. Mosaics celebrated their victories. Pottery was decorated with their likenesses. You are a brand, a commercial product. The academic debate on this topic is fascinating. How did the average Roman reconcile these 2 opposing views of the gladiator? As a despised outcast and a celebrated hero. Some scholars argue that it was precisely this duality that made gladiators so compelling. They were figures who existed outside the normal rules of society, allowing people to project all sorts of fantasies and anxieties onto them. They were simultaneously everything a proper Roman man was not a slave. The performer, a killer for hire, and everything he secretly might wish he could be physically powerful. Adored by women, famous. You learn that the names of the most successful gladiators are known throughout the city. Their win-loss records are a subject of intense debate and gambling. Boys play with gladiator action figures made of clay. You are part of a massive entertainment industry, the bloody heart of Roman popular culture. This knowledge does little to change your daily reality. You still eat the same gray mush. You still sleep on the same hard bunk. You still feel the sting of the doctor's rod. But it adds a new layer of surrealism to your existence. You are living in a cage that the whole world is peering in through the bars, chanting your name. It's a hollow, meaningless fame, a celebrity built on your own degradation. You are a star, but your stage is an execution ground, and your greatest performance might be your last. The roar of the distant crowd takes on a new meaning. It is not just the sound of a mob, it is the sound of your own terrible, glorious reputation. The abstract idea of your strange fame becomes uncomfortably real. On certain days, the Laniste allows wealthy patrons to visit the ludus. They don't come to the stinking cells or the messy infirmary. They stand on the shaded balconies, observing the training yard like visitors at a zoo. They are mostly men, gamblers, and fight enthusiasts. But sometimes, a litter carried by slaves will arrive, and from behind a silk curtain, a noblewoman will emerge. Her presence changes the atmosphere in the yard. The air, usually thick with the sounds of grunting and the thud of wood, suddenly feels charged with a different kind of tension. She is a creature from another universe, while you are covered in a film of sweat and dust, wearing nothing but a loincloth. She is a vision of cool alabaster skin, intricate jewelry, and fabrics dyed in impossible colors. The scent of her expensive perfume drifts down into the yard, a jarring contrast to the smells of iron and exertion, and she watches you, not with the cold, calculating eye of the Laniste or the professional gaze of the doctor. Her look is something entirely different. It's an intense, focused stare that seems to peel back the grime and see the raw physicality beneath. In her eyes, you are not an infamies, a social outcast. You are a primal force, a living embodiment of the violence and vitality her own life conspicuously lacks. Her husband might be a portly senator who spends his days in endless debates, or a pale poet who writes odes to a mythical past. You are the opposite of that. You are brutally, terrifyingly real. This phenomenon is a well-documented, if scandalous, part of Roman life. The satirist Juvenal wrote scathingly about Epie, a senator's wife, who abandoned her family to run away to Egypt with her gladiator lover. To a respectable Roman, it was the ultimate disgrace. But it happened. This fascination was a potent, introfitable reality. Your Laniste is keenly aware of this. He might subtly position his most popular or physically impressive gladiators where they can be best seen. A famous gladiator's favor could be courted, sometimes for a very high price, and the Laniste would undoubtedly take a hefty commission. You are a commodity in more ways than one. After a particularly grueling session, a doctor might approach one of the more famous veterans. He carries a straight gill, a curved metal tool used for scraping oil and sweat from the skin after exercise. With a practiced motion, he scrapes the grime from the gladiator's chest and arms. But instead of being washed away, the sweat-soaked mixture is carefully collected into a small glass vial. This vial is then sold, for an exorbitant price, to female admirers. This is one of the strangest and most visceral details of the gladiator cult. Their sweat was considered a powerful aphrodisiac, a potent ingredient to be dabbed on the face or mixed into cosmetics. The very essence of your physical toil is bottled and sold as a luxury good. Historians and sociologists still debate the deep-seated reasons for this gladiator fever among some Roman women. Was it a form of social rebellion against their constrained and often passionless lives? Was it a simple, primal attraction to the hyper-masculine alpha figure? Or was it a kind of celebrity worship? No different from the obsessions of modern fans, just with a much more dangerous subjective affection. The answer is likely a complex mix of all three. It was a safe way to touch the forbidden, to experience the thrill of the savage and the low-born from the safety of wealth and status. You, a novice, are not yet the subject of such specific attention, but you see it happen to others. You see the lingering gazes. You witness the strange transaction of the sweat collecting, and it fills you with a profound sense of detachment. This is not admiration for who you are. You have no who anymore. It is a fascination with what you are. A symbol, an idea, a walking, breathing fantasy. The noble woman on the balcony isn't seeing a man with a stolen past and a terrifying future. She is seeing a character from a story, and she desires a souvenir from her visit. You are just another spectacle, another performance, even when you're just standing still. The rhythm of your life in the ludus, for all its brutality, becomes predictable. The clang of the bell, the taste of the barley mush, the ache in your muscles, the weight of the training gear. It's a monotonous cycle of survival. Then, one day, the routine is broken. A public official, the editor of the next games, arrives at the ludus with his entourage. He asks the producer, the man financing and organizing the upcoming spectacle. He is the honest as quiet. They meet on the balcony. In 4 hours, they engage in what looks like a heated negotiation, pointing down at the men training in the yard. They are not just choosing fighters. They are crafting a narrative for the show. They are deciding on the matchups, building a card of contrasting styles and famous names that will sell the most tickets and generate the most excitement. You try to ignore it, to focus on your drills, but a new, electric tension fills the air. Every gladiator in the yard is acutely aware of what's happening. They push themselves harder, their movements sharper. A desperate, unspoken audition. This is the moment that determines everything. Being chosen is a death sentence, but not being chosen is a mark of failure, a sign that you are not considered worthy even to risk. Later that day, after the official has departed, a list is posted in the main hall. It's the libellus, the program for the games. Men crowd around it, a silent, anxious mob. You push your way forward, your heart hammering against your ribs. You scan the list of names, written in neat cursive, and then you see it, your stage name, the one they gave you. It's there, on the parchment, next to the name of another man, your opponent. In that instant, death ceases to be an abstract concept, a vague threat looming in the future. It now has a date. It has a name. The world seems to tilt on its axis. The background noise of the ludus fades to a dull hum. You stare at the letters of your name, and they seem foreign, alien. This isn't you. It can't be. You look around at the other men. Some are clapping a veteran on the bed. Each has been given a prime spot on the card, a testament to his status. Others walk away from the list with a quiet, grim resignation. A young Tiro, not much older than you, leans against a wall, his face pale, his breathing shallow. He saw his name, too. The man whose name is next to yours is a Seikot or from a different ludus, one with a modest reputation. You've never seen him, never met him. He is a complete stranger, and in a few weeks, you will be expected to try and kill him, just as he will be trying to kill you. He is not your enemy. Your enemy is the man who wrote your name on this list, but you cannot fight him. You must fight the stranger. The period between the posting of the list and the day of the games is a unique form of psychological torture. Your training regimen intensifies. You are no longer just a trainee. You are a combatant preparing for a specific bout. The doctors drill you relentlessly on the techniques you will need to defeat a Seikot, or you fight mock battles against veterans who mimic your opponent's style. Every waking moment is dedicated to this single, future event. Historians debate what this period was truly like for a gladiator. Was it a time of heightened fear and anxiety, or did the intense focus on training provide a kind of mental relief, a way to shut out the terror and concentrate on the task at hand? Roman philosophy, particularly Stoicism, taught the idea of accepting one's fate and facing it with courage. Perhaps some gladiators found solace in such ideas, but for you, a novice facing your first real combat, it's unlikely such philosophical comforts hold much sway. There's only the cold, hard reality of the list. It's a tangible piece of your condemnation. You find yourself touching the brand on your shoulder, the mark of ownership. You remember the oath you took, Pharaoh Kunekari, to be killed by the sword. You swore to accept it. Now, the bill has come due. The roar of the crowd, which was once a distant, abstract sound, is now a roar meant for you. The games have a name, and that name is yours. The night before the games is unlike any other night in the ludus. The usual grim austerity is replaced by a strange, almost festive atmosphere. This is the sine libera, the free dinner. It's a public feast, a final meal offered to the gladiators who are scheduled to fight the next day. You are bathed, anointed with oil, and given a fresh, clean tunic to wear. It's the most comfortable you've felt since your capture. You and the other condemned men are led not to the usual mess hall, but to a large, open dining area, perhaps even in a public venue outside the ludus. The tables are laden with food you have only dreamed of. There is roasted meat, pork, perhaps even goat, real wheaten bread, cheese, fruits, and, most incredibly, wine. Real, undiluted wine. The room is crowded, but not just with gladiators. The public is here. Gamblers, who have money riding on you, come to inspect you up close, to see if you look fit and confident. They peer at you, discussing your physique with the frankness of horse traders. Look at the shoulders on him, one might say, but his eyes look fearful. Another might counter. You are a prize animal being paraded one last time before the race. Fans are here, too, morbid curiosity seekers, and genuine admirers of the sport. They want to be close to you, to breathe the same air as the men who will face death tomorrow. They might call out your name, offering words of encouragement or placing bets on your demise right in front of you. A woman might catch your eye from across the room, her gaze a mixture of pity and thrill. It's a profoundly surreal experience. You are being celebrated, feted, given the best food and drink, all because tomorrow you might die. It's a bender before your own execution. The Laniste encourages you to eat and drink your fill. A well-fed, spirited gladiator puts on a better show. A sullen, terrified man makes for poor entertainment. How you handle this night is a personal choice. Some men gorge themselves, consuming as much of the rich food and wine as they can. The final, desperate act of indulgence. They laugh too loudly, their bravado a thin mask for the terror underneath. Others are stoic and quiet. They eat sparingly, knowing a full stomach will make them sluggish in the arena. They sit in silence, lost in their own thoughts, perhaps composing a final message to a loved one that can be passed on by a fellow gladiator, a practice some historical sources suggest. This is a detail that has long fascinated historians. What was the true purpose of the sine libera? Was it a genuine act of generosity, a final luxury for the condemned, or was it a cynical marketing ploy? By turning the final meal into a public event, the game's promoter built hype and gave the public a chance to feel personally invested in the fighters. It was part of the build-up, the pre-game show. There is an ongoing debate about whether gladiators could make wills or designate heirs for their meager possessions or prize money. The sine libera might have been the last chance to put these affairs in order. Whispering instructions to a trusted freighter. You sit with your fellow fire ones, the other novices. You don't know each other well, but tonight, you are brothers in a way no veteran can understand. You share the same specific dread, the fear of the unknown first step onto the sand. You might share a cup of wine, the silence between you heavy with everything you cannot say. You look across the room and see the gladiators from other ludi, the men you will be fighting. You see your opponent. They say cut, or he is just a man. Like you, he is eating, talking, trying to get through this night. He looks just as scared as you feel. As the night wears on, the atmosphere grows heavier. The wine runs out. The crowd thins, and you are left with the cold, hard reality of the coming dawn. You are herded back to the ludus, your head light from the unaccustomed wine, your stomach full of rich food. You lie on your bunk, but sleep is impossible. Your mind replays every training drill, every shouted command. You can already hear it, faint and distant, the sound of the early crowds gathering. The feast is over. The countdown has begun. Dawn breaks, not with the familiar clang of the ludus bell, but with a palpable sense of finality. There is no training today. The only activity is preparation. You are given a final, meager meal, not the heavy barley mush, but something lighter. Your body is your weapon, and it must be primed. Then comes the costuming. You are not just a fighter, you are a character in a grand, bloody play. Attendants bring out the real armor. The armor. It gleams under the torchlight of the armory. It's lighter than your training gear, just as you were told it would be, feeling almost magical in its buoyancy. The greaves are polished to a high shine. The helmet, whether it's the fish-crested helm of a M.U.R. Milo or the sinister, faceless helmet of a Seikador, feels more like a sacred mask than a piece of protection. As you are being strapped into your gear, you see the other gladiators preparing. There is a quiet, focused intensity in the room. Men perform last-minute stretches, whisper what sound like prayers, or simply stare at the wall, their minds 1,000 miles away. The bonds of the ludus, the rivalries and friendships, seem to fall away, leaving only individual men facing their own fate. Once you are all armed and ready, the march begins. You leave the familiar confines of the ludus, the only home you have known for months or years, and step out into the city. The streets are lined with people. This is the Pampa, the grand opening procession. It's a parade of the damned, and you are the main attraction. At the head of the procession are the LIC tours, officials carrying the FAS, CES, bundles of rods symbolizing Roman power. Musicians play aloud, bombastic, to non-trumpets and horns. Then come the servants carrying signs that announce the name of the editor, the man sponsoring the games, and maybe even depictions of the day's matchups. And then there are you. You march in formation, arranged by your fighting class. The crowd presses in, a chaotic wall of sound and color. They cheer, they jeer, they throw flowers, they throw insults. You are trained to march with your head held high, your expression impassive. You are a spectacle of disciplined violence, a living advertisement for the carnage to come. You are supposed to look confident, fearless, larger than life. Inside your helmet, your heart is a frantic bird beating against your ribs. The sound of your own breathing is deafening. You catch glimpses of the faces in the crowd. The excited, almost feral look in their eyes is unsettling. They don't see you, the person. They see the armor, the role you are playing. They see the ready Arias, the THRAX, the Seikut, or you are a living embodiment of their entertainment. This procession is a crucial part of the ritual. It built anticipation to a fever pitch. It was a transition, moving the gladiators from the private, hidden world of the ludus to the public stage of the arena. It was a moment of transformation, where you ceased to be the lawless as property and became, for a few hours, the people's entertainment. Historians debate the exact route and composition of the Pampa, as it likely varied from city to city and event to event, but its purpose as a hype-building spectacle is undisputed. The procession culminates at the great amphitheater. As you approach, the low roar you have heard for months as a distant thunder becomes an overwhelming physical force. It's the sound of tens of thousands of people, a human ocean of noise that washes over you, vibrates through the ground, and rattles your very bones. You march through a huge archway, the gate of life, and emerge from the shadowy tunnel into the blinding light of the arena. The sand is pristine, white, rake smooth. The walls of the amphitheater soar up around you, a massive bowl of humanity screaming your name, or the name of your class. The sheer scale of it is dizzying. You have spent your life in confined spaces, a village, a ship's hold, a sail, a training yard. Now you are standing in the center of the world, and every eye is on you. The parade route is over. You have arrived. You are home. In hell, you complete a full circuit of the arena floor, a single, slow lap of honor for men who have none. The sand beneath your feet is surprisingly deep and soft. You'd always imagined it would be hard-packed, but it's loose, designed to soak up the blood that is soon to be spilled. The roar of the crowd is a constant, physical pressure, but as you and the other gladiators come to a halt, a strange hush falls over the tens of thousands of spectators. All motion stops. As one, you turn to face the most opulent section of the stands, the imperial box, the pulvener. It's a riot of marble, gold, in the impossibly expensive Tyrian purple cloth that marks the emperor's presence. You can't make out his features clearly. He is a distant figure, a symbol more than a man, flanked by stern-faced Praetorian guards. He is the ultimate spectator, the final arbiter of your fate. The editor may have paid for the games, but it is the emperor who holds the power of life and death in his gaze. A signal is given, in a rehearsed, synchronized movement that you have practiced in the ludus yard. You and every other gladiator raise your right arm. It is not a defiant fist, nor a pleading hand. It is a formal salute, a gesture of acknowledgement to the supreme power of Rome. Then you speak. The words feel thick and strange in your mouth, a phrase learned by rote that you never thought you'd actually say. Your voice joins the low, rumbling chorus of all the other condemned men. Audi, Imperator, Moritarier, T salute and Hail, Tempor, those who are about to die salute you. The sound of your combined voices echoes in the sudden quiet of the amphitheater. It is a statement of fact, a declaration of your purpose here today. You are the Moritarier, the ones who are about to die. You have accepted this. You have sworn an oath to it. And now, you are announcing it to the world. The emperor gives a slight, almost lazy wave of his hand in acknowledgement. The crowd erupts, its roar returning with renewed force. The salutation is complete. The contract is sealed. Now, here's the thing that academics have been gleefully arguing about for generations. That iconic phrase. It might be a bit of a historical myth, or at least a massive exaggeration. The only direct, contemporary account we have of it comes from the historian Suetonius, and he was describing gladiators. He was describing naumachiorii, prisoners and criminals condemned to fight in a massive, staged naval battle on a lake for the Emperor Claudius. It was these men, not necessarily everyday gladiators, who offered up that famously grim salute. There's no solid evidence that you, a professional gladiator, would have said this as a matter of routine. It was likely a one-off event that sounded so good, so perfectly dramatic, that Hollywood and popular culture adopted it as gospel. But in this moment, for you, it feels true enough. The Emperor's acknowledgement signals the start of the next phase, but it's not the carnage you expect. Instead, attendants rush out onto the sand, handing you your weapons, but they are armalusoria, blunt, harmless training weapons, perhaps even made of wood. This is the pro-lus-io. To warm up, you must now engage in a mock battle. It's a buzzer piece of theater. You and your designated opponent, the stranger in the Seikator armor, meet in the center of the arena and begin to fight. But it's a performance. You go through the motions, showcasing your skills, your footwork, your technique. It's a flashy, bloodless display designed to whet the crowd's appetite and, more importantly, to give the gamblers one last look at the merchandise before they place their final bets. You can hear them shouting, assessing your form, your speed, your aggression. It is perhaps the most surreal moment of the entire day. You are fighting for your life, but not yet. You are dancing on the edge of the grave, putting on a show. The tension is almost unbearable. Every instinct screams at you to fight for real, but you can't. You must play your part in this charade, this appetizer before the main course. After a few minutes that stretch into an eternity, the horn sounds. The pro-lus-io is over. You and your opponent separate, chests heaving. The attendants scurry back onto the sand, taking the blunt weapons from your hands. There is a pause, a moment of profound and terrifying silence that cuts through the crowd's noise. Then, another set of attendants approaches, and this time, they carry the real weapons, the sharp steel, the weighted net, the unforgiving trident. The play is over. The attendant places the real gladius in your hand. The weight is familiar, yet terrifyingly different. The polished steel catches the sun, casting a blinding glare. Its edge is lethally sharp. This is not a tool for practice. This is a tool for ending a life. Across the sand, you see your opponent, the Seikator, hefting his own sword, his faceless helmet turning slowly to fix on you. The crowd's roar becomes a single, pulsing entity, a sound that feels alive. Thy horn blasts. its note sharp and final. The fight has begun. All the months of training, all the repetitive drills, all the psychological conditioning. It all comes down to this. Your mind goes strangely blank. There is no room for the past, no thought of the future. There is only the here and now. The sand, the sun, the noise, and the man in front of you. You fall back into your training, your body moving on its own. You adopt the stance, shield up, knees bent. You circle each other warily, two predators in a pit. This isn't the fluid, graceful combat of movies. It's clumsy, brutal, and exhausting. The heavy armor, even the real, lighter version, restricts your movement. The deeps and tries to suck at your feet with every step. Your first clash is a jarring shock of noise and force. The sound of his gladius crashing against your shield is a deafening clang that you feel in your teeth. The impact shudders up your arm. It's real. The stakes are absolute. You are already Arias. Your advantage is speed and distance. His armor and relentless pressure. He plods towards you, a walking fortress of bronze and leather, his head lowered, trying to corner you. You backpedal, your trident held out to keep him at bay, your net coiled in your other hand, waiting for the perfect moment. The crowd screams with every movement. They shout advice, insults, encouragement. Closer, finish him. You try to block it out, but it's impossible. The noise is a third combatant in the arena. You see your opening. He lunges, slightly off balance, with a flick of your wrist that you have practiced 1,000 times. You cast the net. It unfurls in the air, a perfect, weighted circle. For a heart-stopping second, it seems to hang there. It lands, falling over his head and sword arm. A roar of approval erupts from the stands. He is entangled. He stumbles, trying to slash his way out with the dagger he still has free, but the net restricts him. This is your chance. You surge forward, trident lowered like a spear. This is the moment from your training. The kill shot you drilled against the palace. But he is not a wooden stake. He is a desperate, fighting man. As you thrust, he twists his body. The tines of your trident, aimed for his chest, scrape against the thick bronze of his shoulder guard with a screech of metal on metal. The blow that should have ended it is deflected. He is strong. He rips a hole in the net and his sword arm is free. Now you are in trouble. You have lost your primary weapon, and he is too close. This is where the fight descends into a desperate, ugly brawl. You drop the now useless trident and pull your small dagger. He is still partially tangled, and his vision is poor. You are faster. You duck under a wild swing of his sword, the wind of its passage stirring your hair. You are close enough to smell his sweat, to hear his ragged, muffled breathing from inside the helmet. It is chaos, not a dance, but a wrestling match with blades. They sharp, burning pain erupts in your thigh. He has cut you. It's not deep, but the sight of your own blood, bright red against the white sand, sends a jolt of pure terror through you. The crowd loves it. The first blood is always a highlight. Historians often stress that not every gladiatorial match ended in death. In fact, many, perhaps even most, ended when one fighter was wounded or disarmed and conceded defeat. But for a novice like you, in your first fight, the odds are not in your favor. You are an unknown quantity, and the crowd is thirsty. You shove him back, creating a sliver of space. He is hampered by the remnants of the net. You see another opening, not a clean, theoretical one from the training yard, but a real one, born of desperation. As he raises his arm for another swing, you lunge forward, not with your dagger, but with your shoulder, crashing into his legs. He topples backward with a crash of metal and a plume of dust. He has lost his sword. He is down. The arena falls silent. He lies on his back in the sand, his chest heaving. The remnants of your net are tangled around his legs. His sword lies a few feet away, half buried in the white dust. He is disarmed, helpless. You stand over him, your own dagger clutched in your hand, your thigh throbbing with a hot, steady pain. The silence in the amphitheater is absolute, a deafening void where moments ago there was a hurricane of sound. Tens of thousands of people hold their breath, their eyes locked on the two of you, your opponent. The secador does the only thing he can. He raises his left hand, not in a fist, but with a single finger extended. The forefinger. This is the gesture of ad dij batam. To the finger. It is the universal sign of surrender. He is admitting defeat. He is placing his life not in your hands, but in the hands of the crowd and the man who presides over the games. Now, all eyes turn from you to the editor's box. It might be the emperor himself, or the wealthy magistrate who sponsored the day's entertainment. This is the moment of judgment. The editor does not make this decision in a vacuum. He looks to the crowd, gauging their mood, and the crowd responds. They have been waiting for this. They are no longer passive spectators. They are the jury. They signal their verdict with their hands and their voices. Those who want the defeated gladiator to be spared might wave pieces of white cloth or hold up their thumbs, though the exact gesture is debated. Those who want him to be killed will scream for it, perhaps gesturing with a downward thumb. The famous Paulus verso. Here is where history gets murky, and it's a point of endless, passionate debate among scholars. For centuries, we've believed thumbs down meant death and thumbs up meant life. This image is burned into our collective consciousness by paintings and movies. However, many historians now believe it was the other way around, or that the gestures were different altogether. Thumbs down might have symbolized putting the sword back in its sheath, meaning mercy. A thumbs up gesture, representing a drawn sword, might have been the signal for death. Another theory suggests the death signal was a thumb pointed at the throat. Whatever the specific gesture was, its meaning was unmistakable. You watch the stands. It's a chaotic sea of waving arms and open mouths. You see both signals. Some have been impressed by the secutor's resilience. He fought bravely. Others are bloodthirsty. They paid to see a conclusion, and a surrender feels like a cheat. They want the ultimate spectacle. The editor listens, waits, and then makes his decision. He is weighing the crowd's desire against financial reality. Killing a trained gladiator is expensive. The honest aim must be compensated for the loss of his asset. Sparing him means he can fight another day, perhaps in a rematch that would sell even more tickets. He raises his hand. The crowd falls silent again, a ripple of anticipation. He makes the gesture. Let's say, for this moment, it is the gesture of mercy. Perhaps he turns his thumb down into his fist. The crowd lets out a collective groan of disappointment from some sections, and a cheer of approval from others. The decision is made. The say cut or on the ground will live. Your role is now ceremonial. You do not help him up. You simply step back. Your dagger still held ready until he is officially clear. Attendants rush onto the sand to help the defeated man to his feet. They will escort him from the arena through the gate of Libidine, the goddess of funerals. A grim walk of shame, but a walk he gets to make alive. You, on the other hand, are the victor. The crowd is now cheering for you. They shout your stage name. An attendant brings you a palm frond, the symbol of victory, and a purse heavy with prize money. It's more money than you have ever seen in your life. You have survived. You have won. But as you stand there, heart pounding, blood dripping down your leg, the roar of the crowd sounds less like adoration and more like the growl of a hungry beast, temporarily satisfied, but waiting for its next meal. You walk off the sand. Every step, an effort. The adrenaline that fueled you during the fight begins to drain away, leaving a vast, hollow exhaustion in its place. The cheers of the crowd seem to fade into a distant, meaningless buzz. You are guided back through the same tunnels you entered, but everything looks different now. The torchlight seems dimmer, the stone walls closer. You are no longer a condemned man walking to his fate. You are a survivor walking away from it, back in the gladiators' quarters beneath the amphitheater. The atmosphere is a strange mix of relief, pain, and enigmas. The infirmary is busy. Physicians, the same kind of men who worked at the Ludus, move with professional calm, tending to the wounded. You are laid on a table, and a doctor inspects the gash on your thigh. The pain, which was a dull throb, now sharpens into a searing fire as he cleans the wound. He stitches it closed with a needle and thread, his movements quick and efficient. There are No words of comfort, only a grunt of professional satisfaction when he is done. You are not the only one. Other victors are being treated for their own injuries. You also see the losers, the ones who were granted mercy. Your opponent, the crackling, is on a nearby cot, his helmet finally off. You see his face for the first time. He is younger than you thought. He has a broken arm and a deep sense of shame in his eyes. He doesn't look at you. In the silent code of this world, you are now his superior. You beat him. That is all that matters. Your prize money is counted. A significant portion goes directly to the l'honnête, his return on investment. Another cut goes to the doctor and the support staff. What's left is yours. It's still a small fortune for a man who, until today, owned nothing but a loincloth. But what can you do with it? You can't leave. You are still his property. You might be able to use it to buy small luxuries within the ludus. Better food, a warmer blanket, or save it, hoarding it for a future that is still profoundly uncertain. Once you are patched up, you are marched back to the ludus. The streets are emptying now, the crowds dispersing, already talking about other things. The grand spectacle is over. You are yesterday's news. Re-entering the ludus through its heavy gate is a deeply disorienting experience. Just hours ago, you were the center of the universe, standing under the gaze of thousands. Now you are back in your cage. The shouting, the music, the sun, the sand, it all feels like a fever dream. Was any of it real? The throbbing wound in your leg is the only proof. Your return is met with a quiet, professional approval from the l'honnête and the doctors. You have performed well. You have survived. You have increased your value. You are no longer a tyro, an untested novice. You are now a veteranus. This grants you a new status in the rigid hierarchy of the school. You might be moved to a slightly better cell. You will receive a larger portion of food. The other gladiators will look at you with a new respect, tinged with envy and fear. You have done what they all hope and dread to do. This is a point often overlooked in the dramatic retellings. Victory did not mean freedom. It meant you had earned the right to fight again. Your success has only guaranteed that you will be put in harm's way once more, perhaps against a more skilled opponent next time. It's a cruel promotion. You lie on your bunk, the unfamiliar weight of the coin purse stuck securely in your loincloth. The familiar squalor of your cell feels both comforting and suffocating. You are alive, but you are not free. Historians debate the psychological state of a gladiator after his first victory. Was there elation, relief, or did the reality of their situation simply create a profound sense of despair? A realization that they were wrapped on a bloody treadmill. You close your eyes, but you can't sleep. Every time you do, you see the flash of steel, the desperate eyes of the crackling, the sea of anonymous faces in the crowd. You hear the roar, the silence, the sound of your own heart pounding in your ears. You have come back alive, but you have left a part of yourself out there on the sand, a piece of your humanity that you will never get back. The days that follow your first victory blur into a new kind of routine. You are a veteranus now, and life is different, but not in the ways you might have imagined. The physical pain in your leg eventually fades into a dull ache, leaving behind a puckered, ugly scar. It's your first real one, the first line in the story your body will tell. You look at the true veterans, the primipali, and you see their bodies are entire books, written in the language of healed wounds. The cost of survival is paid in installments, piece by piece, from your body into your soul. Your status has improved, but so have the demands on you. In training, you are now the benchmark for the novices. You are the one the doctors point to, saying, "Watch him, he knows how to win." You are used as a sparring partner in the Pro Luis drills, demonstrating techniques against younger, more desperate men who look at you with a mixture of awe and resentment. You are part of the machine that is grinding them down, just as you were ground down yourself. You find yourself becoming harder, more callous. The memories of your old life, which once haunted you in the quiet of the night, are now faint whispers. The face of your wife, the smell of your village after the rain, they are like scenes from a story someone else told you. Your world has shrunk to the ludus walls. Your reality is the clang of steel, the taste of cheap wine you can now occasionally afford. In the ever-present shadow of the next games, you fight again and again. Each time you step onto the sand, a little more of your fear has been replaced by a cold, professional focus. You learn to read the crowd, to play to them. You learn that a non-fatal but bloody wound delivered with a flourish earns more cheers than a quick, efficient victory. You learn to drag out a fight, to make it more dramatic, because a popular gladiator is more likely to be granted mercy if he is defeated. You are no longer just a fighter. You are a performer, an expert in the art of violent entertainment. With each victory, you earn more money, but you also collect more scars. A broken finger that never quite sits right, a chipped tooth from a shield bash, a long, thin scar that runs parallel to your jawline. These are your trophies. They earn you respect within the ludus, but they are also a constant, physical reminder of how close you have come to death. Over and over again, this slow erosion of self is a topic that ancient sources don't dwell on, but it's a profound human truth of your condition. Philosophers like Seneca the Younger wrote with disgust about the spectacle of the games, viewing it as a corrupting influence that celebrated base cruelty. He saw the effect it had on the crowd. But what was the effect on the men in the center of the ring? Historians can only speculate, drawing on parallels with modern soldiers suffering from PTSD or athletes dealing with the long-term effects of a brutal sport. The constant exposure to violence, the need to kill or be killed, the ever-present threat of death. It had to leave a deep, invisible wound on the psyche. You see it in the other veterans. You see it in their eyes. A certain hollowness, a haunted look that never quite goes away, even when they are laughing or drinking. You see it in the way they twitch at sudden noises, or in the nightmares that make them cry out in their sleep. You are all survivors, but you are also all ghosts, haunting the scene of your own slow execution. You become a stranger to the man you once were. You catch your reflection in a polished shield and you don't recognize the hard-faced, scarred man looking back at you. He is a gladiator. That is all he is. He has no past, and his future is a simple, binary choice: the victor's palm or the oblivion of the sand. The price of living through each fight is that you die a little bit more each day. You are a walking paradox, a celebrated hero who has lost himself, a champion of the arena who is a prisoner in every other aspect of his life. Years pass. The seasons turn outside the ludus walls. But inside, time is measured in scars and fights. You are no longer the young, terrified novice. You are a seasoned veteran, a primus pallus, one of the most famous and successful gladiators of your generation. Your name is chanted in the taverns. Your face is on the cheap oil lamps. You have survived dozens of combats. You have won. You have lost. You have been spared. You have seen everything the arena has to offer. And then, one day, after a particularly grueling victory, the Honeste summons you. You stand before him, not on a balcony, but in his private office. He looks at you, his gaze as calculating as ever. But for the first time, there is a flicker of something else in his eyes. Respect. Or perhaps just the satisfaction of an investment that has paid off handsomely for many years. He doesn't make a long speech. He simply picks up an object from his desk and holds it out to you. It's a rudis, a simple wooden sword, identical to the one you first held as a novice, the one you used to beat against the palace until your arms gave out. But this one is different. This one is a symbol. The rudis is the instrument of your freedom. Receiving it is the highest honor a gladiator can achieve. It means your contract is fulfilled. Your oath is dissolved. You are no longer a gladiator. You are, once again, a free man. A ceremony is held, perhaps in the arena itself after your final fight. The crowd roars its approval. They love this story, the slave who fought his way to freedom. It is the ultimate feel-good ending to a bloody tale. You hold the wooden sword in your scarred hand. It feels impossibly light. This small, simple object represents the end of your servitude. You are free to walk out of the ludus gate and never look back. But what does freedom truly mean for a man like you? This is a question historians have long pondered. The Rudi Arias, as a freed gladiator was known, faced a strange and difficult future. You could leave and try to build a new life. But who are you? Your old identity is long gone. Your family, if they are even still alive, would not recognize the man you have become. You have money, but you are still infamies. The legal stigma of having been a gladiator, a person who sells their body for entertainment, might never wash away. You might be free, but you are not respectable. Many, perhaps most, Rudi Arias did not leave. They stayed at the ludus. This is the great, strange paradox of your hard-won freedom. The only world you know is the world of the arena. The only family you have left are the other gladiators. Your skills, the ability to fight, to endure, to kill, are useless in the civilian world of commerce and farming. So, you might choose to stay. You might become a doctor, a trainer, like the ones who once beat you. You would trade your real sword for a wooden rod, and you would be the one screaming at the novices, shaping them into the next generation of fighters. Your wisdom is now a valuable commodity. The Lawniste would pay you a handsome salary for your expertise. You would have a comfortable room, good food, and the respect of everyone in the ludus. It's a position of power and prestige within this violent little world. Or, even more strangely, some freed gladiators chose to continue fighting. They would sign new contracts as free men, commanding enormous appearance fees. Why would a man who had won his freedom choose to risk it all again? The reasons are complex and debated. Was it for the money, the fame, the adrenaline? Or was it simply that the arena was the only place they truly felt alive? The only place where their violent, specialized skills had any meaning? You stand there, holding your wooden sword. The path forward is forked. You can step into a world that will likely shun you, a world you no longer understand. Or you can remain in the only home you have, a place of brutality and death, but also a place of structure, purpose, and a strange, dark glory. The choice, for the first time in a very long time, is yours. The rudies in your hand is not just a symbol of freedom. It is a symbol of a life so completely reshaped by violence that true peace may forever be out of reach. You chose the gate. You took the purse of coins, turned your back on the only world you've known for a decade, and walked out into the blinding, chaotic light of Rome, a free man. The heavy wooden gate of the ludus swings shut behind you. Its thud no longer a sound of imprisonment, but of finality. For the first time, you are not being marched, not being escorted. You can turn left, turn right, go wherever you please. The sheer number of choices is paralyzing. You buy new clothes, a fine wool tunic that feels impossibly soft against your scarred skin. You walk the crowded streets, the ghost among the living. The city is a sensory assault. The smells of baking bread, cheap wine, and open sewers mingle in the air. The noise is a constant cacophony of vendors hawking their wares, children shouting, and the endless rumble of wagon wheels on stone. It's the sound of life, a sound you were removed from for so long, that you are not one of them. You are a man apart, and everyone knows it. It's not just the brand on your shoulder, which you keep covered. It's in the way you walk. You have a gladiator's gait, a slight troll from years of keeping your center of gravity low, ready for a fight. It's in the way your eyes constantly scan the crowds, assessing, looking for threats that aren't there. It's in the web of scars on your hands and forearms, visible whenever you reach for a piece of fruit at a market stall. People give you a wide berth. They look at you with a new kind of stare, not the morbid excitement for a fighter, but a wary, fearful respect for a killer who now walks among them. The infamie is not a legal document. It's an invisible aura that you carry with you. You try to live a normal life. You find a modest apartment to rent. You visit the public baths, that great social hub of Roman life. But even there, you are an outsider. As you strip down, your heavily scarred torso becomes a silent testament to your past. Men who were just laughing and gossiping fall quiet. They move away from you in the water. You are a creature from another world, a monster from their bedtime stories, come to life. This is the great, unresolved question that historians continue to grapple with. What did freedom truly mean for a gladiator? Was it a successful reintegration, or a new kind of lonely exile? While a handful of famous rudierii might have achieved a comfortable status, for the average survivor like you, the path was likely far more difficult. You were a celebrity, but also a pariah. Your nights are the hardest. The quiet of your room is more deafening than the roar of the arena. You are haunted by ghosts. The clang of a blacksmith's hammer in a nearby shop sounds like the clash of swords. A sudden shout in the street makes you jolt upright, your hand reaching for a weapon that is no longer there. You dream of the sand, of the faceless helmet of a secador, of the weight of the net in your hands. You escape the ludus, but the arena is a prison you carry inside your own head. One afternoon, you find your feet have carried you, as if by their own will, back to the amphitheater, the Colosseum. It looms over the city, a monument to the spectacle that defined and destroyed you. There are games today. You can hear the muffled roar of the crowd from within its stone walls. The sound is familiar to you as your own heartbeat. You stand outside, a free man, listening to the sounds of other men fighting for their lives within. You are on the other side of the wall now, a spectator, but you are not like the others who laugh and place their bets. You know the smell of the hot sand, the taste of fear and blood, the feel of a blade scraping against bone. You are free, but you will never be free of this. The shadow of the arena will follow you for all of your days, a silent reminder of the man you were forced to become, and the life you can never truly reclaim. And so, you stand there, a free man in the long shadow of the Colosseum, and you listen to the echoes of your own past. But, as you listen, the roar begins to soften. It's no longer the sound of violence, but a deep and distant hum, like the sound of a faraway ocean you can just barely hear as you begin to drift off to sleep. The hardstone of the city seems to fade, the sharp edges blurring, the noise of the crowd melting into a gentle, rhythmic wash of sound. The weight of the armor you carried for so long, the heavy shield, the suffocating helmet, you can feel it all finally lifting, not just from your shoulders, but from your soul. The scars on your skin no longer pull or ache. They are just faint, silvery lines on a body that is finally at rest. You are not in Rome anymore. You are floating in a quiet, peaceful darkness, a place of soft comfort. The story is over. The dust has settled on the sand. The torches have been extinguished, one by one, leaving a soft and quiet dark. Let the current carry you now, deeper into the calm, still waters of your own comfortable sleep. Rest now. You've earned it. The end of the article. Good night.